He's been with the Texans, the Patriots, the Alabama Crimson Tide, Penn State. Bill O'Brien was just introduced as Boston College's next head coach, and he's got a huge problem on day one. Let's talk about it after the stinger. Hey, it's Felix Sharpe at Sharpe Review on Twitter for CampusToCanton.com. If you haven't heard of the website and you want to be able to play a fantasy football league with any of your favorite college players, then hit the link in the description box. Hey, while you're at it, drop this video a like, subscribe to the channel. We're trying to get to 4,000 by the NFL draft. Let me provide some context for why I'm so interested in this particular topic, Bill O'Brien going to Boston College, being introduced on Friday. 2 years ago, I was preparing for the Campus to Canton Freshman and Supplemental Draft Guide, a guide that we release every single year. Speaking of plugs, the 2024 version is going to be available March 1st. You can pre-order that, put a link in the description box. But 2 years ago, I was getting ready for the guide, and I'm looking around, and I'm finding this quarterback from Ware County, Georgia, who looks a little bit like Russell Wilson, who's back there scrambling, is a Houdini escape artist in the backfield, throwing these balls down the field, and I took a big interest in him. He was a 3-star prospect at the time, headed to UCF, playing with Cartavius Norton, a running back going to Iowa State at the time. I fought tooth and nail. I was like, this guy, we need to add him to the guide, because at the time, we were not planning on writing a profile for one Thomas Castellanos for the guide. I fought for him. I really liked this kid. Then when the season started in the spring, reached out to UCF. Asked for an interview with Thomas Castellanos. I kid you not. The response I got from someone in their communications department was, why would you want to talk to our third-string quarterback? Well, I can tell you why I wanted to talk to him, because, one, UCF, Gus Malzahn down there, was one of the only coaches to offer him to play quarterback. A lot of people wanted him to play a different position. Anyway, he's behind John Rice Plumlee his first year. He transfers to Boston College, played his first year as a starter last year, was very good for a first-time starter, one of the best rushers in the country, over 1,000 yards. Hey, how about this? He was like the quarterback 8 on the season in fantasy. You need to get into Campus to Canton fantasy leagues. So I felt vindicated on my opinion on Thomas Castellanos after the way he played last year. I mean, nearly beat Florida State, almost had that upset, had some great games overall. And is he a work in progress as a passer? Absolutely. But he brings a dynamicism. That's not even a word. Let me know in the comments. You know what I'm saying. He brings an element in the rushing game that is just unmatched around the country. Yes, he's a work in progress as a passer. This brings me to Bill O'Brien. Because, of course, in the playoff, in one of the press conferences, Jalen Milroe mentioned that his former offensive coordinator, Bill O'Brien, recommended that he switch positions. Now, some of you might say in the comments, well, yeah, Jalen Milroe should have switched positions. One, that's nonsense. He's a very good college quarterback. But what does that mean for Thomas Castellanos? Because his play style is very similar to one Jalen Milroe. Now, but BC can't get the same players that Alabama can, but the point remains, he's very similar. Now, I listened to the entirety of the press conference of Boston College introducing Bill O'Brien as the head coach. Saraba Gorkhan of the Heights asked the question that was most closely related to how Bill O'Brien plans to use Thomas Castellanos. The answer was non-committal, as you would expect, but there was no real commitment there to how they were going to use him or if he would even be the quarterback, only that he had met with him. I think that someone in that press conference should have asked, hey, Bill, do you think that Thomas Castellanos should switch positions the way you thought Jalen Milroe switched positions? That's the question I would have asked if I was in that press conference. You look at what Bill O'Brien has had at the quarterback position really since he's been coaching. Most recently, with the New England Patriots, Mac Jones, drop back passer. He did have a time with the Houston Texans where he had Deshaun Watson there, but even before Deshaun Watson, you're talking about names like Brian Hoyer, Ryan Mallett, TJ Yates, Brock Osweiler, Tom Savage. None of those guys come close to the play style of one Thomas Castellanos. So my question about Bill O'Brien is on day one is he going to evolve himself to be able to scheme around Thomas Castellanos' strengths? Because he has them and he can be developed. I have a tough time believing that he's absolutely going to do that. In his last stop at Alabama, that offense took a dip back after Lane Kiffin was there as offensive coordinator, after Steve Sarkisian. Under Bill O'Brien, Bryce Young had a hard time finding open wide receivers. That offense was not as good as it had been in previous seasons. That's the last time we saw Bill O'Brien as a play caller. And I think just generally speaking, I have a problem with some of the Bill Belichick disciples. Yep, they're militaristic, but these are people, and now I'm getting a little bit personal because I'm a Detroit Lions fan and I knew that Matt Patricia wasn't a fit. But these are people who don't respect the players and their humanity, these coaches. I mean, I remember a story from Ashawn Robinson, speaking of Alabama, a former Alabama defensive tackle, saying that Matt Patricia told him that he didn't belong in the NFL. The year after Matt Patricia was fired, or close somewhere in that timeline, the next year, Ashawn Robinson wins the Super Bowl with the Los Angeles Rams. I mean, I've never seen an outcry of negative sentiment after a coach was fired like I saw when Matt Patricia was fired from the Detroit Lions. Players publicly calling him out. Now, am I drawing some comparisons there between O'Brien and Patricia? Sure. But look at the other Bill Belichick coaches who have not had success. Romeo Crennel, Eric Mangini, Joe Judge. Where's Joe Judge right now? I'm sure that there are some others that I'm not thinking of. So I'm concerned that Bill O'Brien is going to come into Boston College, not believe that Thomas Castellanos is a fit for what he has to do, and maybe isolate or ostracize him. I don't know. That's my concern. Let me know what you think in the comments. If you're a BC fan, you got to love what Thomas Castellanos did last year. I certainly do. Speaking of our third-string quarterback. Sorry, UCF. I love me some Thomas Castellanos, and so I'm a little bit angry that this coach that didn't want Jalen Milroe playing quarterback now is coaching my boy TC. BC fans, let me know what you think in the comments. Is Bill O'Brien going to be able to build around Thomas Castellanos? Or are we going to get to the middle of the season and there's some sort of quarterback controversy because he wants to have a vanilla straight drop back passer? All right? Like the video, subscribe to the channel. Peace.